But just a point of worry, the rupee is 12 pice cheaper. I mean, the dollar is 12 pice more expensive. This is heading towards a sharper impact of the Chinese depreciation on all Asian currencies, including India. So watch that space. Watch currencies today, because the Chinese yuan did depreciate more than expected.
Also, I just want to point out on Cadila Health, that stock should come up for you as well. As Ekta was telling us, the warning letter does not really have too much that could be positive for the company, because the warning letter from the US FDA did mention that the company has deviated from the good manufacturing practices, and the response that the company gave actually has lacked sufficient action. So that stock continues to be under pressure after details from the warning letters out. Mayuresh Joshi also joins into this conversation. Mayuresh, Cadila Health has been one stock that has been, has suffered a lot ever since that US FDA issue. Did you get a chance to read into the warning letter, and how would you view the stock now?
Morning, Sonia. I think clearly didn't have a chance to go into the details of the warning letter, but clearly I think whatever has come out will have an impact in terms of how the top line for the company grows. Again, our own estimates over the past few quarters as the performance had been was that the EPS should grow by around 24% on a CAGR basis over the next 2 years. You're probably going to see that hit probably take place. So when you're talking about an EPS growth of around that proportion, I think with the kind of contents that you're probably expected to see and the hit that the US business will take, our own take is that the earnings will definitely get impacted of the US business, which will have a dent on the company's profitability as well. So clearly I think we're maintaining a neutral onto the stock. I think there will be a huge amount of movement in the other mid-cap pharma stocks.
Okay, well, we don't have to read out the share prices just yet. We'll allow them to settle down. Before that, get one of those big multi-bagger ideas from Mr. Tulsian. Mr. Tulsian, today it is Srikalahasti Pipes.
That's right. In fact, Lata, this is a company, which is in making the ductile iron pipes, which are mainly used for the water supply. And if you see, they have their plant, as name suggests, Srikalahasti, which is closer to Tirupati, about 35 kilometers. So they have their plant in, and they've recently bagged one order from Telangana Water Board, for about 850 crore in the month of December. And supply for that water project has already started. And the total order inflow in the month of December alone is 1050 crore. And that is going to be the very big growth driver for the company, because Telangana Water Board is a 37,000 crore project, and that is going to get completed maybe in the next couple of years, for which the international funding and all has come. That is their main business. Recently, company has completed 100 crore expansion, and they have taken up the second expansion of 100 crore as well, which will increase the mini blast furnace capacity as well as for the low ash metallurgical coke capacity, matching capacity, because that's a backward integration, and that will eventually take the pipe making capacity to 285,000 ton, which is now at 220,000 tons for the company. So over maybe in the next 6 months, you will be seeing the capacity increase of maybe about 30%. Now, if I come on the financial performance, the operating profit margin has jumped from 15%, which was in FY15, to 21% in the first half of H1 FY16. If I just quantify that with the number on the top line of 555 crore in the first half against closer to 1100 crore in the whole of FY15, the operating profit is at 116 crore against 155 crore for whole of FY15, and that's the reason the EPS for first half has been at 18 rupees against 21 for FY15. So I'm expecting, and always, because of the supply of this Telangana having started, maybe the full FY16 will be having an EPS of closer to about 38 rupees. But going forward for FY17, I'm expecting company to post an EPS of 45 rupees. Now, if you go by the equity pattern and maybe the book value kind of things, book value is closer to 91 rupees. Equity is about 40 crores, net worth is 365 crore. And the debt which is there in the books is largely for the working capital, because we all know that these are all highly working capital intensive industries. So promoter stake of 51%, HNIs and 35%. I see this stock, quite having a good potential to move up from here. Stock is now ruling at sub 280. giving a target of 350 in 6 months, but maybe one can look for a target of 400 plus as well in the next 12 months as well.
Okay, so that's one fundamental idea. Well, the other stock that you can watch out for in pre-opening is ARSSI International. As we were telling you yesterday, the stock surged 20% because investors misread the exit of the CDR scheme. The lenders of the company confirmed to a lot of media that the ARSSI account has actually been withdrawn from CDR because the recast had failed following the inability of the promoters to meet certain conditions. So now, once that was out, the stock is actually correcting and down about 6.5%. But Mayuresh, you've picked out a stock for us to buy for the longer term. Amara Raja Battery is the stock you're looking at.
Oh yes, Sonia, and again I think if you look at the two business segments, automotive segment contributes 56% to the overall revenues, 44% comes from the industrial part. Now within the auto segment itself, the replacement segment itself contributes close to 35% in terms of their top line, and clearly the market share of 25% that it has garnered over the past few quarters, I think that market share will keep on burgeoning as the quarters pass by. And clearly I think within the OEM segment, I think it's got a 15% contribution coming in from the four-wheeler segment, and clearly I think you're looking at vendors probably looking at multi-vendors probably on the battery side. So I think Amara will gain market share even on that front. It is expanding the two-wheeler capacity in a substantial manner from 8.25 million units close to 11 million units odd. And again, I think you're seeing tremendous amount of growth probably happening on all these sectors. So on the replacement part, it has grown around 21% in the quarter gone by. You probably looked at the four-wheeler segment, which has grown at 17%, and the two-wheeler segment, which has grown probably at around 14-15 odd percent. Now on the telecom part of the industrial part, out of 44%, I think 22% of the overall top line comes from the telecom vertical, and the kind of capex that the telecom players are expected to do over the next few quarters is going to augur well for a company like Amara Raja, which has a significant contribution coming in from the telecom vertical. The UPS probably dragged the overall revenues and the volume growth, but clearly I think the entry into the home inverter segment and getting into tubular battery manufacturing is going to abet the company in a big manner. So clearly if I talk about financials, we're still expecting an 18-19% top line growth to that 5,875 odd crore mark. With lead prices coming down, the EBITDA margin should sustain between that 17.5 to 18% range, and we're probably expecting an earnings growth in excess of 27-28 odd percent over the next couple of years. In terms of valuations, trades close to 23.7 odd times. It trades at a premium, but I think the premiumization should continue. So again, I think a target of 1,039 over the next 12 months, and even greater targets if the capacity that they're probably getting in, the capex that has currently gone out, I think the cash flows will definitely improve. So I think the stock can even move higher if you've got a larger type price.
All right, thanks for that. We are moving closer to the opening time, and yeah, there the bell's gone. It's actually opened lower, and this is to be anticipated or to be expected, because we are seeing most of the Asian markets opening in the green and then slipping quickly into the red. The noise from the currency moves from China would be a bit of a bother for everybody. The fact that it is 0.2% lower at fixing itself, and the traded values of yuan also fell, would give a bit of a fear of depreciation that will continue. So EM basket ex-Japan, emerging markets, Asia is a bit of a bother today. All the indices are in the red, and the Indian markets are quickly following suit. It's about 0.25% lower at this point in time, so looking a little dicey. You will have to say the mid caps are holding a little bit of green, but we'll have to wait and see if that can be held. Quickly moving to the stocks that are showing maximum weakness. Lupin, Infosys, ONGC, Grasim are among the stocks that are showing an over 1% cut. Lupin is the worst of them with a 1.7% cut, but the others, Grasim and Infosys in particular, heavyweight, is down about 1.5%. Tata Steel is seen creaming away of its gains, as Rajat said it might. It's down about 0.5%. Kotak Mahindra, Kane are also joining that list of slightly bigger losers, 0.7 down. Then come Vedanta, GAIL, Tata Power, M&M, ICICI Bank, all of them 0.5% lower. Let's see what is in the green and how many actually. Bharti Airtel is in the green. Well, the investor or the analyst opinion is that the negative, if any, from the call drop penalty rule is largely factored in, so that stock is moving up into the green 1%. Idea Cellular a close second with a 0.7% in terms of gains, and then come the drug guys, Sun Pharma, Dr. Reddy's, both up about 0.5%, Coal India as well. and then come BHEL, ACC, TCS, Ultratech Cement, all of them up a little less than 0.5%, about 1/3%. Most of the drug stocks are actually in the green, and so are the cement stocks. The sole drug stock that's not doing well is Lupin at this point in time, and now the losses have been cut. Actually, Indian markets opened with bigger losses and have now scaled down the losses to almost flat terrain. Sensex and Nifty flat.
All right, well, the mid-cap index is flat as well. The market breadth is slightly in favor of the advances, so it's having a slightly better day than the frontliners. A couple of Gokaldas news. Gokaldas Exports is up almost about 10% As we told you, the board has given its nod to sell the company's land in Bengaluru, Hyderabad and in Mysore. It will be selling 2 plots in Mysore and 1 in Hyderabad. So Gokaldas Exports is up almost about 10% or so. You have a couple of these hotel stocks that continue to do well. Some of the sugar names are doing well. Sri Renuka, Bajaj, Hindustan, etc. are in the green. The UP cabinet is likely to take up the sugarcane pricing policy tomorrow. So ahead of that, there is some amount of traction that you're seeing in these names. Cadila Healthcare is down almost about 1.5%. As we told you, the US FDA has observed that the company has violated some good manufacturing practices, and the response of the company lacks sufficient corrective action. So the stock is under pressure now, down about 1.5%. Couple of stocks hitting fresh 52-week highs. Petronet LNG is one of them. That stock, in fact, ever since the favorable resolution of the RasGas issue, that stock has moved phenomenally in the last 3 months. The Everest Kanto as well has hit a fresh 52-week high on the possibility of getting more business because of the increase in the CNG pumps. So those are a couple of stocks that are doing well at this point. Hexaware newspaper report suggests that Barings PE Asia is looking to sell 71% stake. So Hexaware could be also in the news, up about 1.5%. And ARSSI International, as we told you earlier, the recast or the corporate debt restructuring scheme of the company has actually failed because the promoters were unable to meet certain conditions, bring in contribution, etc. So the market has woken up to that, and now that stock is correcting quite a bit. But otherwise, for the market, Lata, it's absolutely flat at this point.
Yeah, at least not done as bad as the other Asian markets. Anuj has joined in. Anuj, there was a heart attack of a 0.25% cut in the Nifty, and then it's got scaled down to largely flat terrain. Bank Nifty as well actually moving in tandem. It also started with 0.25% losses. How do you read the opening moves?
Lata, my sense is that the Nifty needs to get back to 7,800 and trade above that, because it's an important support mark, and if it keeps trading below that, sooner or later that mark will give in and you might see a move towards 7,700. I won't be surprised. I mean, if today the Nifty does not take out 7,800 and starts to trade above that, there's a good chance that maybe in the second half you have a grind towards 7,700. That's possible, and in that case even the mid caps won't be spared if that happens. So keep an eye on the Bank Nifty. That's decisively weak. If the market has to go towards 7,700, my sense is it's the Bank Nifty that will take it there.
Okay, well, Bank Nifty at the moment is the weak link. I mean, if you can call it that, 0.1613, just a tad weaker than the big boys, but mid cap still holding in the green. Mr. Tulsiar, I wanted to ask you about this gas-related rally in stocks. Kirloskar Pneumatic was one of them, but more prominently it was Everest Kanto. The numbers for Everest Kanto are not flattering, the last numbers we got, but should we expect better times?
See, Lata, actually sometimes it's strange that we are connecting. I agree that both are into the gas-related, infrastructure or the facilities providing there, but you can't connect Kirloskar Pneumatic with Everest Kanto, because if you see the Everest Kanto, they have the quarterly, top line on a standard basis. I'm talking 40 crore and they have losses of 30 crore. So sometimes I'm unable to understand that even if they improve their performance, how long you can go, till what level. So I'm quite, this may be an exuberance, we are seeing in Everest Kanto. Kirloskar Pneumatic is a different ball game altogether. It's a quality stock, which can always remain invested. They make the compressors and all sort of things, which will be, all these equipments will be required in a gas station. So I won't be, touching Everest Kanto at this level, because yesterday it was up by about 20%. Today it is up by 5%, and this is the classic case where this all retail traders or investors, they get trapped at the higher level. So I'll be throwing caution on Everest Kanto, but yes, keeping positive view on Kirloskar Pneumatic. And coming on this gas station part, except for IGL, that to increase in the margins, gas margins 18 months down the line or 12 months down the line, honestly I don't see any gas stocks also seem to be beneficiary, whether you talk of Petronet LNG or you talk of GAIL or for that matter any other stock. Yeah.
All right, well, the
Mr.
stock
Tulsian,
that Mr. Tulsian had picked up, Sri Kalahasti Pipes, is up almost about 5% right now. Mr. Tulsian, thanks so much for your comments on individual stocks. And also just watch out for Tata Communications. Bank of America Merrill Lynch initiated a buy on that stock with a target price of 545, and that stock is up and away right now. But Amit Gupta is also with us to give us a couple of trading ideas. Amit, good morning. Sorry to keep you waiting. You have a couple of strategies on individual mid caps, Havels and Crompton Greaves. Just take us through that.
See, Havels particularly last time also I mentioned at a price of 300, it went up to 320. Now just because the market is also falling, the stock has again come back to 300 levels. But I don't see that kind of severe correction coming into the stock, and I think these kind of decline should be bought into. The reason being the kind of open interest build-up and the volume surge we have seen in Havels this time. The same kind of surge and open interest was there when the stock was falling 1 year before. And in between, it had tried towards 300 but did not sustain, and that time the open interest and volumes were almost flat. So this time the OI has got doubled, and the volumes of almost 2 crore shares we have seen on an average of 25-20 lakh shares of volumes. So almost 10 times of volume surge we have seen this time in Havels, and it has been sustaining, I think consolidating around 300. So it is likely that the stock may again start moving towards 335. In fact, I think it should take out the life highs of 350 in the coming sessions.
Actually, Amit, yeah, let's quickly run through your stocks because we have to get back to the opening moves. How will you trade the Nifty itself?
See, Nifty, we are selling 8,000 call option at around 45 or 47 around. If you are getting, you can write it. The reason being the FI selling at the start of Jan has again started with a 600 crores of sell-off we saw after this Chinese devaluation again coming up. And if you look at the heavyweights, I mean in the banking or the technology, both are looking subdued and they have a weightage of more than 40%. And that is why it is getting difficult for the market to immediately move up. You may see more consolidation around possibly 7700 to 7900 kind of range for some time, and the volatility has surged. I mean from 14 it has gone up to 17 just because the OTM put options have been bought. So I think the overall structure for Nifty seems like either it may consolidate or possibly it can slip for some time. So that is why writing call options may be a good strategy.
Okay, and you also have a strategy, a sell call on Axis Bank today. Just quickly take us through that strategy as well.
Yeah, because see the banking, as I mentioned, has remained subdued but last to last session if you observe, SBI and Axis Bank both have seen a very heavy quantum of addition, contract number of lots addition in the OTM call strikes. Like SBI it was 225 and Axis Bank it was 460. So I think it is very difficult for these stocks to immediately start moving up, because after that we have seen they have started sliding. So I think some strong hands have entered and started writing these call options, despite the fact all of these stocks have remained subdued. They have not participated with the Nifty rally. So always there is a risk of some kind of short covering if you are writing the call options. But even then a very huge quantum has been added. So I will recommend to go short in Axis Bank 460 call option again around 6 to 7 rupees. If you are getting, you do it, because the chances are very unlikely that it may start moving beyond this level in immediate future.
Okay, can you quickly take us through Crompton as well? That's your buy.
See, Crompton Greaves, possibly this may be one of those stocks which have remained sideways and has not participated previously that much with the Nifty moves. But yes, one positive is that Nifty has given up from 850 to 7540 in between, but it remained around 160, 170 levels. So one can say that that kind of buying momentum has not come into the stock so far. But yes, at lower levels, the delivery buying support has always been there. That's why the stock did not fall. If you observe this particular series, 200 call options have been bought because the IVs have continuously been rising. So I think around 4 to 5 rupees this buying has started, and yesterday we saw that it moved towards 10 rupees also. It got doubled, but still these positions are very much intact. This is the highest call option base and it has been tinkering around that level now. So I think there is a possibility of the stock continue to start moving up, continue its move towards 225 230 levels also. there is a news buzz of the demerge of the consumer business, so that may remain, pushing the stock higher. So overall, I think buying a call option may be a good strategy for Compton Greaves right now.
Thanks for that. Well, the market is now moving a tad bit lower, so down 0.2%. But Mayuresh, just wanted your view on what are the top large caps that you would be advising a buy on now, when the market stabilizes?
So clearly, Sonia, I think financials is where we've still got a big overweight on. So the larger private sector banks and a clutch of these. So you can take IIS, Axis Bank, ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, where the earnings growth should be quite reasonable compared to the public sector counterparts. The earnings trajectory in excess of 20% for a lot of these banks should probably take place over the next couple of years. So clearly the private space is something that we'll still prefer on every decline in investments in a staggered manner. Cement as a space, Sonia, is something that I've been liking for some length of time. I still continue to like cement over the next couple of years. My own expectations is that the utilization level should slowly start picking up, which effectively means that the return ratios start picking up, demand should start stabilizing, and once all these activities start probably happening in, the earnings of all these companies should start getting projected in a much better fashion. So I think UltraTech Cement on the large cap names is something that we'll continue to prefer, and Sun Pharma from the pharma pack, where our belief is that most of the concerns related to Sun Pharma are largely priced in. So Sun Pharma from the pharma pack is something I'll continue to like.
All right, we leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining us with your thoughts, Mayuresh. Before we let our experts go, just one word from Sudarshan as well.